We shall now work through a case study based on real life. This is scenario 1, and we're going to talk about a network discovery and also populating a CMDB. The background to this challenge is that we have the following requirements and background information. Let's go through each point. The customer is rolling out a new WAN solution as a transformation, so not a transition. We are not taking whatever is in place at the moment and then rolling the equivalent thing out. We are doing a network transformation, so that means that something significant is going to be changing in the network. The solution is based on software-defined WAN. The design, implementation and managed service is being provided by a third-party managed service provider. So imagine that we're an enterprise and a third party is actually going to be performing this action. There's an ITSM service management portal or service management tool where e-bonding will be used, and this will be provided as part of the MSP service. This is where we start getting some interesting inputs to this challenge, and we have no clear visibility of what the LAN equipment looks like or what LAN equipment exists at the branch sites. So let's say, for example, we have 400 sites and we don't know what the LAN is looking like at any of these sites. What we do know is that there's different vendors in place, so we have Cisco, Fortinet, Checkpoint and maybe some others. We require the ability to discover the devices that are on the local area network at these sites and then populate the CMDB to ensure compliance. Now, what might that mean? These are things that you might get really as requirements in real life from people saying we need to ensure compliance. And this is where, as a network designer, you have to ask questions. It doesn't matter whether it's automation related or something else, that you're just having a conversation with someone. If you're a network designer and you're just doing a general network design and someone says we need to populate the CMDB and ensure compliance, you might want to ask, what does that actually mean? And compliance could be anything from having a full kit list to having certain traffic flows only working on the network. Okay, so relevant tools should be explored to provide analysis and CMDB population. This means that as a network designer, you should look at different ways that this can be achieved with tools that are at your disposal, whether they're commercial or, for example, open source or in-house developed techniques. The strategic view is that for the ITSM tool has a discovery function to take over longer term, subject to further testing and due diligence. So this is here, if we were talking in CCDE language, which is what I'm used to doing when we come to design requirements, this would probably be a distractor. So I'm giving you a bit of a hint here that we're not actually looking at this particular point, it's a distractor. So that's the background information. The next lot of information that we're going to get are the actual requirements that are needed in order to achieve our goal. So to recap on what we're trying to do, we have a network that we're going to SD-WAN, about 400 sites. We need to connect the existing LAN environment to the SD-WAN once it's installed, but there is not a LAN refresh happening. So what we need to do is understand that what devices are actually on the local area network with some form of discovery mechanism. Now, the discovery team or the design team must provide a solution to achieve the following. Okay, we need to discover devices that are present on the WAN and the LAN at all customer sites. Once we've discovered what's on the WAN and the LAN, we need to populate the ITSM CMDB, so that's a configuration management database, with some base information about the discovered devices. That includes the host name, the management IP address, the serial number, the hardware make and model, the software version, and the end of support lifecycle status. In addition, there are needs to troubleshoot and document the managed LAN sites and support sites within some sort of consulting service on the back of it. So these are real life requirements that you might be provided as a network designer. Now, let's look at the challenge. A customer has the following challenge amid an upcoming SD-WAN transformation project across 400 sites in 65 countries. Some topologies showing the complexity of the different network segments are shown for background information below. So here are some of the requirements that we need to understand the LAN environment, discover all network devices and populate the ITSM CMDB. We then want to validate the equipment is compliant in respect to life cycle. So is it in its end of support life cycle? Is it no longer supported by the vendor and things like that? And then we also want to validate that some specific configurations are in place. What that might mean is that we want to check that the SNMP string is consistent throughout the entire network. Just as one example. Some constraints are that the equipment is managed by local IT, so the local sites rather than a central IT service. There's a lack of documentation available. Multiple different vendors are in play. And there's a large number of virtual cloud hosted network devices which are also in scope for the discovery. There's limited budget and project time constraints. Therefore, we need to get this solution implemented quickly. These particular diagrams that you see on the screen, they are purely to give you an idea as to the complexity that might be involved in the network. Remember, we know nothing about this network so far, and what we need to do is provide a solution on how we can do a discovery on this network. Just as a recap, this is a network automation scenario, so ideally we would want to see suggestions on how you can achieve this with network automation. Some additional things: how can we actually solve this? Manual checks, using open source tools and Python scripting, and we can also use commercial tools. At this point, we will halt the video, and the solution that, or one of the solutions that's possible to achieve our objectives, will be in the next video in the next section of the course. Good luck, and the slides, the backup slides, are also available in the training platform in one of the lessons within the course. Good luck.